I have heard from many people that this is the horse that everybody's been looking for. You know, they're the ones that have said, this is the horse that we've waited on.
He has this undefinable aura about him. He projects it. He possesses it. You've got a pedigree that is as deep as a well. And you're an outcross horse, and there are so many mares that are begging for an outcross horse today. The probability that this horse will make a successful sire is very high.
He's big, gorgeous. I would be absolutely shocked if he don't make a great sire, because he really has the you know, the drive, the stamina, and I think he has everything that it takes to make a great sire.
Talk about your experience with Carl Peavy-House and what he meant to the racing industry in Oklahoma.
Well, you can't talk about Carl, but you have to talk about a foundation mare, Cinnamon Candy, that he had, this daughter of Tiny's Gay that he acquired, and you know, started a racing dynasty over several years. I mean, they have just been dominant. Carl was very much a horseman. He was very much a guy that wanted to outrun you, and he used a lot of different stallions, and he tried things that worked and didn't work. But once they did work, he doubled up on them.
Talk to me about your friendship and relationship with Carl Peavy-House.
Carl Peavy-House, he's a longtime breeder in Oklahoma. Matter of fact, I'm sure he's probably leads every category from wins to money earned to numbers. He is the pillar of the homebred Oklahoma breeder. I mean, those Candy horses have been around forever, and they've just accomplished so much. And Carl, you know, he was a big part of Oklahoma horse racing.
Where did Carl's love for quarter horse racing come from?
Probably before I knew him, and he was 21 years old when I met him. And he had horses when he was younger, when he was a child, from his accounts. And 5 or 6 years after we were married, he started this love. It rekindled what he had felt when he was a youngster growing up on the farm. But I can recall him sitting and studying magazines and breedings and proper sires, the proper stallions, I guess I was better called. But anyway, he just loved it, and he did a process that has been, in my opinion, successful.
Dad's decision to breed to Good Reason SA, the one thing that I can that I've seen a pattern with Dad is he looks at the thoroughbred side of trying to interject that into some breeding. A gentleman had told him about Good Reason SA at one of the stud farms, so he decided to go see him, and he decided that he would breed some of the better mares to Good Reason SA. Jess, there's nothing really in particular about him. I think that we were so busy with everything. We're always looking at the horses, and we're always looking at the babies, looking at their build to see what kind of particular horse we have at that point. Because being with Dad and just learning, you know, kind of learning what to look for, so that you realize what kind of horse you have.
You know, it all started in 2011. That's where it all began for me with the Peavy-Houses. Carl had come in contact with me, had me come down to his house, visit with him a couple of times, and didn't send any horses home with me. He just wanted to get to know me, and so he did. And we had a 2 or 3 hour conversation there. Done a lot of things run around his farm there a little bit, done a few things, and then come January he sent me 6 maidens and 1 Krona Cartel colt, and that's where it started right there.
Talk to me about the first time you actually laid eyes or knew about Jess Good Candy.
You know, I saw Jess Good Candy when he was just right off his mama as a weanling, and you know, he just looked like a big sorrel colt out there, and they had a bunch of babies, and they all looked pretty good.
Jess Good Candy was foaled out here on the farm, and he was probably one of 14 to 20 born that year, and he was just one of the guys on the place, and we had no idea that he was going to be what he has become.
When I went back, I didn't see him again until I went to pick him up as a yearling, and that was around September of his yearling year. We had all the horses loaded in the trailer. We still had one we had to get. He was up on the hill. That was Jess Good Candy. So when we drove up there on the hill, then there he was. I was in awe when I saw him, and just big, good looking colt, you know, just stood up. You know, you've seen the pictures. That's how he stood up there and looked at me. You know, I turned around to Rosella. I told her, I said, you want your horse to go to the mountain? This is the one you want. I said, he's the one. And I said, and that's the only place we're going. That was in September. We'd never had he was barely halter broke, but you could just see it. You could see his presence. He was a great horse. You could tell it when you looked at him. You know, we had him going there for about 3 weeks, and we were riding him in the barn, but we hadn't had him outside yet. And you know, he was a big colt, and he likes to play, and he'll kick up a little bit, you know. So they were a little bit afraid that he was going to be a bronc. And so after about 3 weeks of watching him go round and round in the barn with him, one morning I told him, I said, hey, I said, bring him out here. They had him tacked up. He was sitting there tied to the wall. I said, bring him out here. They brought him out in the shed row. I had them leg me up on him. So I was the first one to take him out and lope him around the racetrack. And as soon as I took him out there, you know, he was doing that playing like he was going to kick up and be a little bronky. But then when he hit the racetrack, he bowed his head down. He took a hold of that bit, and he drugged me around there like an old horse. And he showed nothing but class. And then after that, every hand in my barn wanted to ride him in. You know, I told GR about this horse at the January sale. And GR never set on him till we got to Remington Park. We had already had him gated. You know, gate broke. He was doing pretty good. But he had a little problem about wanting to break in. And he always wanted to, when he'd leave the gates, he kind of wanted to lug into the inside a little bit. And so we put him in his first gate work. GR got on him. He took him, kicked the latch on him. He broke, went to the inside a little bit, went down through there. I can't remember what it was. I don't think the time was all that great. And so he comes back to the barn. I said, what do you think? He said, well, he just feels like a horse to me, Clint. And you want to talk about let the air out of me. I say, all this time I'm sitting there thinking this is the best thing that I've ever had in my entire life. And GR told me, he said he just feels like a horse. But now that was his first gate work there, and so he told me what he felt. And so then a couple of weeks later, I brought him back, and he did the same thing, but this time he switched gears with him. And when he switched those gears, he come back and he told me, he said, hey, you're on the right track. This dude is for real.
Be sure to catch all the upcoming chapters of Making of a Sire Jess Good Candy by logging on to StallionEsearch.com.